So welcome to another Digital Humanities Colloquium Series presentation. I think we have a really interesting talk today on the Escalator program. So the title is the Escalator program, a big vision for growing digital and computational skills and community in humanities and social sciences. Today, Anelda is going to give a presentation and Treasure unfortunately cannot be here today, but Anelda from the Walt is going to give the presentation. So Anelda has a formal education and research experience in the field of bioinformatics, next generation sequencing. In 2014, she established a South African training and consultancy company called Collaborators. Collaborators is committed to working with research organizations, groups, and individuals to help build human capacity in reproducible research, open science, and computational and digital research across all disciplines. So over the years, Anelda has gained extensive experience with human capacity development in transdisciplinary spaces, and specifically in multicultural, multilingual context. She's also been heavily involved in supporting the establishment of communities and practices around computational and digital research across Africa. So for example, the one here with Escalator. Anelda has a passion for providing mentorship and is involved in various South African and international mentorship programs, such as the Escalator, Open Life Science, the Carpentries, and the Software Sustainability Fellowship. Collaborators' flagship projects currently include Escalator, funded and co-led by SADiLaR, and AfriMapper, funded through the Wellcome Trust. Well, the talk today is going to be on Escalator. Before we really start, a few practical things. Please, if you're here, well, except for Anelda, of course, turn off your video and audio so we don't have any background noises. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can just put them in the chat. There will be some time for discussion afterwards. As always, we'll record all presentations and we make them available on the SADiLaR website. So if you miss one, you can always go back to the recordings. And I normally mention information about the Escalator project, that you need to go there to the website, that there's a Slack, etc. But I think Anelda is going to talk about that as well. So I'll stop my share here so Anelda can take over. And then I've lost my Zoom controls. Okay, you've shared your screen. It seems I don't actually see the controls yet. There we go. Anelda, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you for the kind introduction. And good morning, colleagues. It's really good to see some familiar faces and some new faces. I hope that today's session is going to be very informative, provide some information about the Escalator program that you may not have known about. And I do hope that you will have loads of questions afterwards. I'm going to do the presentation and keep questions for after the presentation, just to help people who will be viewing the recording afterwards. That is a coherent story. But please do keep your questions. And if you have questions as we go along, please put them in the chat and Menno will help me to get back to them. And of course, Menno is also part of the Escalator program, so he can also help to address some of the questions that you may have. So just a little bit of background about Escalator. Although we know that there are various well-established and very good expertise around digital humanities and computational social sciences in South Africa, many of these projects operate in complete isolation or in collaboration with international stakeholders, but not so much within the South African landscape. And many beginners are very unsure of how to get started with digital and computational practices and tools within the humanities and social sciences. Traditionally, also, we know that the data science opportunities are very much focused on people in STEM disciplines and often specifically exclude people in the humanities and social sciences. Despite the fact that there are very many workshops and events run for people to learn digital computational skills in humanities and social sciences and other disciplines, we often find that we lose people in between the workshops that we run or the conferences that we host, and that the time delay between running an event, creating some momentum, getting people interested and excited, and then nothing happens, and then a year later or 2 years later, there's another conference, people get excited again. But we realize that we lose people in between because people don't know exactly how to get started. So Escalator wants to provide a space where people can go in between events to develop long-term collaborations and partnerships, and also to find support on their learning journeys. Escalator doesn't want to duplicate things that exist, but we want to highlight projects, tools, resources, learning opportunities that exist in the local South African landscape, as well as in the international landscape when it is applicable to the South African context. So we really are kind of a brokerage for projects that exist, people, resources, data sets, and fill the gaps where there are gaps in the training landscape and the training and collaboration landscape. We set out with Escalator, we developed a theory of change to make sure that the activities that we create and design would lead to the change that we wanted to see in the humanities and social sciences around digital and computational skills. And these were the main activities that we set out to do. And I'm going to talk you through some of them over the next few minutes. The first flagship activity that is on the Escalator program is the Digital Champions Initiative. And this was designed specifically keeping in mind our community, because we know that our community include both people who are really, really new to digital and computer, or let's call it digital scholarship, and people who are well established, have very, very good expertise in computational areas, machine learning, the use of computational infrastructure, connected to international networks. So we wanted to offer a program that will attract both ends of the spectrum and everyone in between. And to do that, we decided to design a number of tracks that specifically address the needs of these different stakeholders in our community. And we kicked off with the Explorer track, which is aimed specifically at people who are very new to computational scholarship, a digital scholarship, and often don't even have the vocabulary to ask the questions that is relevant to learning the right skills or tools for their work, to collaborate, and they might not be aware of novel approaches in their research landscape. So this Explorer, I'm going to explain a little bit more about each of these tracks. The Embargo track, the idea here was that we would develop something that is a little bit more advanced. So for people who know more of the vocabulary, have a little bit of an idea of what they would like to learn, to develop something that is more structured and bring them fully on board. The Enhancer track was going to be, or is targeted at people who are more advanced, so people who already know what they want to learn, know where they are going in terms of their digital and computational work in their research, and maybe want to specifically learn a new approach for applying machine learning or natural language processing or image recognition, but something that is more advanced. And then the Enabler track, and I'm so glad to see that we've got librarians in the room.
Oh, even for me. Okay.
I can't mute
All right,
people. If I can ask that. Anyways, thank you. So the Enabler track is specifically targeted at people who helps other people to develop their digital and computational skills, specifically within the humanities and social sciences. So this could be librarians, it could be support staff within the faculties, it could be postdocs, anyone who's helping others to learn as well. The Educator Track we launched in January this year, and that focuses on helping people to learn how to create open educational resources, because we know that there are lots of digital humanities resources available internationally, and very many of them are openly available, but very, very few tutorials, textbooks, and examples of how African data, or even South African data, South African context, and the South African context is displayed in the digital humanities and computational social sciences. So that is the Educator Track. And then Empower, we know that when we move to computational and digital approaches, we do still lose women. And we wanted to make sure that we bring the women along on this journey, on this learning journey and this growth journey, and make sure that we don't lose them. There are also 3 other tracks which we have put on the website and haven't started to develop yet. But based on the needs that we identified, we realized that we should also look at how we can support management to know why they should support people to learn digital and computational skills in humanities and social sciences, how to budget for it, how to plan for it, and where to get the resource and how to support their researchers and students to grow these skills. Then the Exchanger program, I think from the beginning, and with Menno also having a background in computational skills, we've been thinking very carefully about how can we bring more computational or researchers with solid computational backgrounds to the conversation, so that we can really help to grow this transdisciplinary discipline more. And the Engager program is hopefully we'll get to that as well. And that is, when we have all of this established, we would like to tell high school learners and the civil society about the existence of fields like digital humanities and computational social sciences, to create more awareness and create more opportunity for collaboration in citizen science and other things. So here, the following slides have more information. It shows which of these tracks are already available, and also share the link. And the slides will be available as soon as I've done my talk. I can share the link on the chat as well. Sorry, Menno, I didn't share it earlier. But Explorer is already available. It is an unstructured program. It consists of few YouTube playlists that we've curated. Unfortunately, not very many of them are African-based, and that is still one of the shortcomings of this track, I would think, is that the YouTube videos might not, or people might not always be able to see how this applies in their own contexts. But it introduces people to various terminology, research data management, open science, reproducible research, the areas of digital humanities and computational social sciences and others. And people can go through this track on their own time. There is no structured program that they have to follow. And the video clips are also, we try to keep them below 10 minutes if possible. So it's very short, doesn't take up much time. As part of this program, we offer a monthly meetup. People are welcome to join us to discuss questions that they have about the videos that they've watched, about some of the terminologies and topics that we highlight in this track. And that takes place on the last Tuesday of every month. The Embargo Track, not yet launched, it's under development. I explained a little bit about what we're trying to do with that. The Enhancer Track, also not yet launched, but as part of this program, we do provide links to some of our, I almost want to say sibling programs. So programs that are not developed by us, but by collaborators in the areas that might be applicable to people who have a more advanced need for learning skills. And these programs specifically offers mentorship opportunities in data science, in open science, and open source software development and things like that. And you can look at the website for more of those links. What we do offer at the moment through the Enhancer program is a bi-weekly Python and R study group for people who are interested to learn or enhance their Python or R skills. And this is, again, a co-working session where we meet people, we ask a little bit about what their specific needs are, what their level of experience is, what they're working towards, and then help them identify suitable program training material that they can work through. And we use the 2 hours to sit in the same room virtually. And if people get stuck, they can ask questions. We can go into breakout rooms and help people who get, error messages, or would like to get a little bit of an explanation of the material that they're working through. So again, very open. Anyone from any learning stage with Python and R can join. If you're in a more senior position and you don't get time to program anymore, this is a great time to block out 2 hours every second week or 2 hours once a month just to get some programming in. The enablers track, we would like to develop this with collaborators because we think there's a lot of skills in the community around helping others to learn these skills. So that is one of the next things that we'll focus on going forward. The Educator Track, we launched this in January in collaboration with the Northwest University. Oh boy. The UNESCO chair for open educational resources and multimodal learning with Prof. Jaco Olivier. And he has been running this track for us. We opened the application to all the universities to submit projects around developing an open educational resource that will support the development of skills within the digital humanities or computational social sciences in South Africa. And if I remember correctly, we have just over 20 projects. I'll have to look at that again. But we had a lovely number of projects from about 15 of the universities. And that program is progressing quite well. Looking forward to seeing the results of the resources that are being developed by our colleagues. The Empower Track, as I said, launched in August 2021. Specifically targeted at women, but not exclusively targeted at women. So if you are not a woman, you're still welcome to join us. This program now, in the second iteration, offers an 8-step program tied to the digital tools and practices throughout the research lifecycle. And we've provided some templates that people can work through in terms of designing a learning plan for themselves, which we support them then to grow their skills. I think one of the biggest challenges that we found in the time that we've been working on Escalator, and before that in the work that we did around growing digital and computational skills and networks in the African landscape, is that we have such a wide range of needs. People coming in with very, very limited experience, some very applied experience, some very general needs. And then people at the other end of the scale being very, very experienced and looking for high expertise levels in terms of looking for mentorship and resources. And what we're trying out with this round of the Empower Track is to accommodate people across this range again, but helping them to design their own learning path with our support, and just defining a little bit more what exactly they want to learn and why do they want to learn it, how they're going to apply it in their own work, when are they going to apply it in their own work. Because what we've also found is that very often we run capacity development activities or just general interest awareness creation sessions, and people attend those, but they don't always know when they will use the skills. So that has an impact on motivation, on the grit, pushing through to learn something that is difficult to learn, and just hanging in there until you grow your skill to a sufficient level that you can apply to your own work. So for this, we're looking at intentional learning, rather than just learning because someone said I should learn this. Often one of the examples that we get is people come to us and say, I want to learn Python. And the question is, why do you want to learn Python? what do you want to, what part of, like, what application of Python do you want to learn? Where are you going to use it in your own work? What do you need to learn before you even set out to learn Python? What is the skill level that you come in with? If you've got some other programming experience, then, you know, it might be a different learning route for you than if you come in with no programming experience. So we try and help our participants to look at those questions. And it's an interesting learning experience as a project designer and a program designer to see how people take up the resources or don't take up the resources, and how people go on the specific journey. So another part of the project that I would like to show you, and I'm hoping that there will be time to do a little bit of a demo, is our Digital Humanities and Computational Social Sciences Stakeholder Map. And this literally is a map. So what we realized also is that very few people know who is doing what in our country, who has expertise in what areas of digital and computational humanities and social sciences research, where to find collaborators, where to find students, what postgraduate opportunities are there, like who's looking for students at a postgraduate level, what subjects can I take at an undergraduate level that will help me get into a computational humanities or social sciences field. And so we set out to develop this very visual map of people, projects, data sets, tools, publications, and training opportunities and learning materials for South Africa. And it's still not very much populated. We're going to embark on a campaign to get more data in. But if you are interested to add your information here, your projects, people in your research groups, data sets, tools, publications, you're more than welcome. There is information on the website, and you can also contact us if you have any questions. So on the one hand, we have this map, which is just fun. But you can also click on the map to get more information. You can zoom in. This is just a screenshot, so it's not interactive. And then for all of this, we also have the data in tables, which you can sort, search, and get more information. Oops, daisy, where am I going now? There we go. Another visualization, interactive visualization that we have for the stakeholder map is a network graph, which based on keywords, locations. So you can also see who's working with who's working on similar topics, and just get a better understanding of the lay of the land. So very preliminary or very early days for the stakeholder map. We launched it in April, at the end of April, on International Day of the Age. And we've been getting very positive feedback from people, but not so much data yet. I think the last thing that I want to highlight on the Escalator program and of activities is what is coming up, our regional events. We call it DH Ignite because we hope that there will be some sparks and some new collaborations, new ideas, and rekindling of old relationships that may, over the past 2.5 years, have suffered a bit. And what DH Ignite is a 2-day event, in person and virtual. We are going to work hard to make virtual participation as interactive as the in-person participation. And we've decided to take this event across the country through 6 separate events, reaching out to 6 regions. So it's not provinces per se, but kind of 6 regions, including then universities in each of the region for each of the events. So our first event will take place at the end of August. We're going to KwaZulu-Natal. And for that event, we are inviting people from MUT, DUT, University of KwaZulu-Natal, and UniZulu. And our main collaborator on this project, on this event, will be UniZulu. So we've got very, very lovely buy-in from the dean there, Prof. Masocha, and his staff, working closely with them also to help them get people from UniZulu to the event. And more information about this is on the website and also coming soon. Later in the year, we're going to the north of the country. We're going to visit Limpopo, incorporating University of Venda, University of Limpopo, and University of Mpumalanga. And I think the last event of the year is Gauteng. And then we also go to Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and kind of the Northwestern region early next year to conclude this tour by the end of May. And the idea of this event is it won't be a typical conference. It's really targeted at stimulating conversation, bringing people in who wants to contribute, not just sit and watch. So we want to hear from you. What are you doing? What are your stumbling blocks? What do you need to move forward? And we really, really hope to see some of you at these events as well. Oh, I have a whole slide on this. Right, so I'll share the slides with you. You can read more about it on the slides as well. Okay, there's what we've got, the dates for the 6 events that we will run. It is also on the website. Oh, and this slide didn't come out so nice, but we are going to be looking at having presentations, but very, very interactive presentations, won't be deaf by PowerPoint, and short lighting talks from the community, interactive sessions, posters. We're hoping that everyone will bring a poster. It won't be your typical academic poster. We want to see what you are doing in digital computational research in your field or training, or what you would like to do. So even if you aren't yet involved, if you bring a poster, you can also show, this is the research that I'm doing at the moment, and here is where I see opportunity to get more digital computational practices in and finding new collaborators to learn those skills or contribute those skills. We're also going to have exhibitors. So if you are running a project, if you are offering a service or resources, you're more than welcome to reach out to us if you want to have a booth or an exhibition there. We're not going to charge anything for exhibitions. We are going to make that very, very accessible. It will be limited by the space that we've got available. But we really, really, really want to see what is happening in the country, what is available to our researchers and our students and our lecturers, and how we can connect people. So there are many opportunities to get involved, and I think I've highlighted a few here, but I didn't include everything. I mentioned the Explorer Track meetups. There's the bi-weekly Python and R study group. We have a Slack workspace. I realize that Slack is still a very new tool in many of the research communities in South Africa. And that's no problem. We offer an onboarding session every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. So you're welcome to sign up for an onboarding session if you're not familiar with Slack, or if you want to learn more about the program. And these in-person offerings are at the moment limited to people who are affiliated with South African institutions, to make sure that the resources that we have are spent on our community that we are trying to target. Remember that the Escalator program is funded as part of SADiLaR via the Department of Science and Innovation. So we are trying to make sure that we, as much as we need international stakeholders to be part of this community and to connect people to it, we try and offer some of the resource intense opportunities specifically to people in the affiliated with South African research institutions. If you're unsure if you qualify, you're welcome to reach out to us anytime, and we'd love to chat to you. We also have a Twitter account where we share information about what's happening in the program, but we also would love to highlight activities, resources, opportunities from your network. So if you have projects to brag about, new publications that you want to share with the world, we'd love to retweet what you're doing as well. And then we have a mailing list where you can get very, very low traffic mailing list where we only share major announcements. On the website, there are loads of resources. There's the introduction video, which is slightly outdated now, but still gives a very good overview of what we set out to do with this program. There are the curated video playlists, also the DH Colloquia playlists, and there are, we've also added on the website a curated list of training resources, which many of them are openly and freely available. So lots of ways to get involved in the Escalator program. We look for collaborators, we look for people who want to take the training opportunities that are there, we want to give input in the training opportunities, who wants to roll this out as a program for their students or their staff. We'd love to hear from you in the Slack workspace. We share opportunities, resources, events, activities, not only from Escalator, but from the community. And we now have, I think, 158 people on that Slack workspace already. So the network is growing. And of course, the bigger the network becomes, the more value there is to be part of the network, as with all these social media networks. Yeah, if you have anything to share, please, we'd love to showcase the work that is available, that you know about or that you've done on either the Stakeholder Map, or if you don't want to be on the Stakeholder Map, if we can share it via the Slack or in other ways with the community to highlight the work that is being done. We'd love to do that. There are working groups. If you're interested to join a working group, we'd love to hear from you. The working groups are still quite undefined because we don't have that many people. We've got one working group that is active, and that is the Embargo Track working group. We have 5 wonderful women who's part of that working group. But it's very open for conversation. If you would like to be involved, what does that look like? What does it mean in terms of responsibilities and what you're signing up for? And then another way that you can help us is to tell others about this project. You know, for every 50 people who sign up for an online event, a few of them make it to the event and many of them don't. So the more people that know about the project, the better we can share the resources and opportunities that are available there. So if you have other people who might be interested, please share this with them. And let us know if the program isn't addressing needs that you have. We'd love to hear from you. How is this working for you? Where is it not working for you? What are you hoping to see from the program? The more we hear from you, the better we can design this to actually address the needs that our community have. So there are contact details on the website as well. And I want to thank you for your time. I'm quickly going to show you just some highlights on the website. But really would love to hear from you, and I do hope that there will be questions at the end of this talk. And Menno, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share the project and the information about the project at the DH Colloquium. I hope that we will reach people that we haven't reached yet, and just share information, as I said at the beginning, with people who we have reached yet that they might not have known about. So this is the Escalator website. If you want to join the Slack, it's right there. Follow us on Twitter. It's right on the front page. The video that I've highlighted, short video clip about Escalator. If you want to share this with your management or your students, this is a 6-minute video clip. If you want to sign up for that 30-minute onboarding session to learn how to use Slack or learn more about the program every Tuesday morning, these run at 10 o'clock. If you want to tell us what you need, if this form doesn't work for you, there's some free text areas, please let us know. And then we write some blogs. Occasionally there are some interesting blogs. For example, one of the series of blogs that we've written recently was how we developed the Stakeholder Map. And just to say, and I'm going to go to the Stakeholder Map now, you can see at the top of the menu bar, the Stakeholder Map is there. Just quickly loads. So all of the resources, all of these tools are open source or freely available tools, and we wrote up the whole workflow. So if you wanted to replicate this workflow, what we actually do with the Stakeholder Map is we get data in via Google Form. That data is then stored in a Google Sheet. the data is manipulated using an R script. The R script then generates data that is loaded into what we know as Shiny apps, which is the tool that you see here, this visualization, data visualization. And you can see that this is interactive. You can see Jane has added her details here at UCT, and Sanjan, who's also in the UC libraries, have added, and there's a few people in the north of the country who've also added their data, mostly from SADiLaR. Here you can select projects. So let's just see, did the projects load? So there's the Eyewitness Memory Project, for example, at University of Cape Town. Again, a few projects in the north of the country. The Tracing Trust History. So if you're interested to learn more about what's going on, or if you want your project on this map, let us know. And then all this data is also available in a table, which you can search for. Maybe we can search for UC. Great. Or for other keywords. You can also sort each of these columns. So you should be able to find the data that you're looking for, people, data sets, and so forth. Here is the stakeholder map, network map. So you can see, if we go to the tags that people have highlighted, oops, so if, for example, speech recognition, you should be able to also zoom in and see who is connected. Sorry, I'm not doing a great demo here, but you should be able to highlight only, there we go, only who is linked to speech recognition, for example, who is doing text analysis. It can highlight that. You can also filter, let's say filter speech. And maybe only the text. Oh, now I've broken it. Anyways, so there's a lot that you can do with it. This is an unplanned demo. Let me stop there. If you want to get your data in, there's more information about the project itself. And also some events that we've run. There's a presentation, a YouTube video as well. What I wanted to show you in the blogs are, so we have a series of very, very detailed information about how we develop these tools, from getting the data through Google Forms, Google Sheets. It's all on GitHub, all under open licenses, using R to manipulate the data to get it into Shiny apps where you can see the map and the tables, and into Kumu, which is a separate tool that also reads Google Sheets, and then embedding that on our website. So all of that is written up in, so far, I think 3 blog posts. In terms of the Champions Initiative, you can find all the details here. Oh, another thing, so mentorship, you would have heard from the introduction that Menno gave. Mentorship is a big thing for us, and we really want to nurture a learning community where mentorship is part and parcel of this program. And to learn more about mentorship in the research landscape, we partnered with a number of programs who have established emerging mentorship programs globally, and we wrote those 10 simple rules for establishing a mentorship program, and we very much see that as a working document. So if you are interested to develop a mentorship program, we'd love to hear about your experience as well. Welcome to read our paper, give us feedback, and we're hoping that there will be an update to this as we grow the Escalator program as well. So there's all the different tracks that we mentioned, and each of the different tracks also have information, where there is more information for the last 3, as I said, not yet extra information. The regional events, so DH Ignite is also linked off this main page. And I mentioned some of the extra resources, the training initiatives, the global training resources, some useful tools, which is still very underdeveloped. I think we started with this idea, but that's not very sustainable. Our YouTube playlist, all the open documents that we've got, and various information leaflets and our publications, and the blog and how you can connect to us. So I'm going to go to the DH Ignite website quickly. This is DH Ignite. There's a little bit of information about that, what you can expect, who we're hoping to see there. As you can see, we're really looking at across career stages, across career types within humanities, social sciences, and digital and computational research. We'd love to have a very diverse community there. The different events, the draft schedule, and we love to hear from you if you see anything that's missing, or if you would like to get more information about anything, or if you'd like to contribute to a session. Registration will open soon. For each of these events, we are working with the deans directly to nominate a few participants. There will be open applications as well. And of course, there is the opportunity to participate virtually or in person. And we're busy developing this website and adding more information. So if you click on more information, this takes you to our DH Ignite Knowledge Center. And you can search for anything. So for example, presentations. As you see, still under development. And then here you can see if you want to, if you're an institution, you want to nominate people, we're still adding some information there. Most of this is very new. We just launched the website recently. So over the next few days, by Friday, this website will be much more complete. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you very, very much for your time and for being here. And I'd love to hear your questions.
Thank you very much, Anelda. You're so much better at explaining and giving the overview of all the things that are happening than I can. So it's nice to have this overview, seeing all the possibilities. I do see one question, but I quickly want to, before we go to the question, I quickly want to highlight one thing that you did mention, but I just want to highlight that a little bit more. So within Escalator, within the events that are organized, you can see that there are some that are very much on a kind of person basis. So somebody trying to learn something or wanting to learn something. And there are also events that are more trying to build a community where we share information. So I just quickly want to highlight that it's not just for one person to learn something. This is not like a course that you do and then you know something and then you're done. This is both trying to learn something, but also trying to find collaborators and trying to do something together, really build a community. Okay, so there, you already saw the suggestion from Ingrid. Can there be spaces reserved for librarians with librarian directors able to nominate participants? Yeah, I also like that like that idea very much. So we can definitely take that into account. And do you want to add something?
Yeah, Ingrid, thank you very, very much for that suggestion. And I mean, it was actually just as when we came into the meeting mentioning to me that he's seen that email from you. So we are very, very keen to get librarians involved, and specifically learning more from librarians about what they would like to see from the Enabler track, how they think the other tracks could be useful to them as they are helping their researchers and students to grow these skills and practices as well. So I don't know if you want to add a little bit more, if you've got more of an idea of what you would like to see, or if you would like us to set up a meeting to chat with you.
So I see Alfred has chimed in as well, and Alfred's at UWC Library. I just think that, sort of there needs to be that space. I mean, librarians themselves are kind of also going, so what is this thing called digital humanities? I mean, UCT, we've got our digital library services. I mean, Sanjan is involved, Niklas is involved, but it would and I'm not sure, sort of that the deans would be passing information on. So can I just say that when there is something that I can actually share in the library sector, in the LIASA, on the LIASA web pages, I mean the LIASA mailing lists and on the HELIG mailing lists, and that, please just shout. I will happily share share what I can. But I mean, maybe Alfred has got a few thoughts, because I think UWC are also just getting to grips with this. So yeah. Sorry, Alfred, putting you on the spot.
Alfred, I'd love to hear from you. If you can. Not everyone is in a place where they can unmute. Alfred, I see you have unmuted. We can't hear you. But maybe to answer Alfred's question while the sound is not working, we have emailed DVC's research and innovation, whatever your DVC is called at your institution. And we have copied the Deans of Humanities and Social Sciences, whichever faculty that might be at your institution, the Humanities Social Sciences faculty. But we know that one of the biggest problems that we have is getting information from top down and bottom up. So if you, like, anytime we share anything, we'd love for you to tell others about it in any way you want. And maybe what we should also do is to collate a list of places or contact people that are happy to share information, because we know that information about Escalator is not reaching the people who need it most, because we don't see them. And when we find them, they tell us that they didn't know. So we don't know how better to get information out. And if anyone has any ideas, love to hear from you. Library directors mailing list. Thank you, Alfred. I'm sorry about your microphone, but you're welcome. If you want to share, send an email. I know, I think you and I have each other's email addresses. Or if you want to put something in the chat, you're welcome to add that. One of the other problems that I know that we found is also that when we advertise the Educator Track, the opportunities around open educational resources, that we shared it with the Deans of Humanities Social Sciences, as I say, whatever that faculty is called in your institution. But then we had inquiries from, for example, people in business who falls under a different faculty. And of course, some of the work that they were doing were very, very related to digital humanities, computational social sciences. And we know that people in other faculties beyond humanities and social sciences, education, for example, should be reached by this as well. And it's again a question of nomenclature and how people identify themselves. So yeah, we'd love to share much more broader. And when we define digital humanities, computational social sciences in the scope of Escalator, we also have a very, very, very broad definition. And that's why you might have heard over the course of the presentation, I mostly talk about digital and computational skills in humanities and social sciences. And now we've started to talk about digital and computational skills in humanities and social sciences and related fields. And we also still want computational people here. That might be people, we've been collaborating with people from astronomy. You know, my own background is in bioinformatics, and computational people have a lot to contribute in the space where we're at. Any other comments or questions?
I actually received a question through email related to funding. So it's slightly outside the scope of this talk, but I quickly want to say something about that. So SADiLaR has calls open now and then. At the moment, I actually quickly checked, the current call is actually closed. So at the moment, we don't have any funding available, but just to put that link there. Yeah, so the question was really on, do we fund projects like these? Well, sometimes we do. So SADiLaR does, Escalator doesn't. but SADiLaR does. But at the moment, the call is currently closed.
When I think about funding, on the Slack workspace, we often share funding opportunities that we come across. I think at the moment, there are such weird and interesting funding opportunities beyond the traditional NRF and maybe other traditionally well-known funders and funding cycles. So we do, whenever we come across more general funding or very specific funding for the Humanities and Social Sciences, for example, just a while ago, there was some fantastic funding available for African language data sets. We put it on the Slack, so that's another reason to bring you to the Slack workspace. If we know of something, we share it there.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I was already thinking from a SADiLaR perspective, but this is exactly an example where you can see the benefits of being a part of the community, right? So part of the Escalator, the digital humanities community, where we actually share that information, where you can find collaborators, but where you can get that information. But it only works if people join, right? We need to have like a group of people who are willing to look for opportunities and share opportunities. And then also we can also learn from each other.
I think if people join, but also if people share.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Does anybody still have a question that Anelda is here now. She can answer all your questions now.
But we're also on email, in the Slack.
That is true. That is true. So I hope that you all join Slack, and please. So Anelda mentioned that as well. I think it's very important. I mean, you know what this is about, because I see a lot of names here that of people who come to the Digital Humanities Colloquium regularly. If you come here regularly, I think you have a good idea of what digital humanities is, or what it can be for you. So you're already kind of more experienced in a way than a lot of other people. Please do share the opportunities that Escalator has, for example, so we can get more people in, that more people can see the possibilities that are there.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone.
You added the join Slack link there.
Onboarding session. There is the onboarding session as well. So if you want to sign up for onboarding session, if you want to, like in the onboarding session, we often help people to install Slack, show people how they could use Slack, and make sure that they're signed into the workspace. And normally we have 1 or 3 people there. We've never had more than 3. So it's a nice and small group. We tailor it to whatever you want to discuss. So if you don't want to learn about Slack and you want to learn more about the project or whatever, we can take it as it is. And also we can set up subsequent meetings if there's not enough time to discuss all your questions in these onboarding. I made it half an hour so that it's not a massive commitment. And also you can come, pop in, ask your question and leave. You don't have to stay for the whole half an hour.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Anelda. Like I said, you're so much better at explaining what Escalator entails and the Ignite events. I'm actually very much looking forward to these events as well. I hope that people here that will also see you at these events, and please do share this with your colleagues and interested other people you think are interested. So we get a wonderful event or events there as well. But thank you again, Anelda. I very much like this presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Menno.